Chapter 16. Keys, Locks, and Secrets. Leo was reviewing the Git history when he found it. A database password. Committed 6 months ago in plain text by someone who no longer worked at Nimbus. The commit was public. The password had since been changed, but they didn't know that for certain. They checked every system that credential had ever touched. It took 4 hours. That was the day Nimbus decided to stop putting secrets in code. The two problems: storing secrets and encrypting data. Security around sensitive information has two distinct problems: storing credentials, database passwords, API keys, connection strings. Where do these live? Who can access them? How do you rotate them without redeploying your application? Encrypting data, customer information, payment records, PII. How do you ensure that even if someone gains unauthorized access to your database or S3 bucket, they cannot read the data? AWS has a dedicated service for each problem. AWS Secrets Manager stores and manages credentials securely. AWS KMS, Key Management Service, manages encryption keys for encrypting and decrypting data. AWS Secrets Manager, no more hard-coded credentials. Secrets Manager is a secure store for secrets, database credentials, API keys, OAuth tokens, SSH keys, or anything sensitive. Instead of your application reading a password from an environment variable or config file, it calls the Secrets Manager API at startup or when needed and retrieves the secret. The secret never touches disk. It never appears in your code. It's not in your environment variables. Here's what the flow looks like. Old way, code example omitted for narration. Secrets Manager way, code example omitted for narration. The EC2 instance needs an IAM role with permission to call Secrets Manager get secret value for that specific secret. No other service can read it. The secret is never in the code. Automatic rotation, the real power. The greatest feature of Secrets Manager isn't storing secrets, it's rotating them automatically. Here's the scenario. Every 30 days, Secrets Manager generates a new database password, updates it in RDS, updates the stored secret, and your application retrieves the new password the next time it needs it. No manual intervention, no deployment, no I need to remember to rotate this. The rotation is implemented as a Lambda function. AWS provides templates for RDS databases, MySQL, PostgreSQL, Aurora. You can customize the function for any credential type. Tom had a question about cost. Of course he did. Secrets Manager charges per secret per month plus per API call. For a small number of database passwords and API keys, the cost is dollars per month, negligible compared to the cost of an incident. The compromise last week, Priya said, what would it have cost to investigate and remediate? Tom was quiet for a moment. Wartime, Leo's weekend. Couple $1,000. Secrets Manager would have caught the static key before it was exploited, and it would have rotated it automatically. Tom pulled up the pricing page. AWS KMS, the lock factory. AWS KMS, Key Management Service, manages cryptographic keys, the secret values used to encrypt and decrypt data. The analogy? KMS is like a lockbox company that holds the master key. Your data, the contents of the box, is encrypted. Only someone with permission to use the KMS key can decrypt it. KMS logs every use of every key in CloudTrail. Customer Master Keys, CMKs, now called KMS keys, come in two types. AWS Managed Keys. AWS creates and manages the key automatically for services like S3, EBS, RDS. You don't control the key directly, but you can see it's being used. Free. Customer Managed Keys. You create the key in KMS and control every aspect of it. Who can use it, when it rotates, who can administer it. You can enable automatic annual rotation. Cost: $1 per month per key, plus per API call charges. Encryption in AWS services. KMS integration. Most AWS services integrate with KMS for encryption. S3 enables server-side encryption with KMS on a bucket. Every object is encrypted at rest with a KMS key. Reading an object requires permission to both the S3 bucket and the KMS key. RDS enable encryption at creation time. The database storage, backups, and snapshots are all encrypted with a KMS key. Note: encryption cannot be enabled on an existing unencrypted RDS instance. You must snapshot, copy the snapshot with encryption enabled, and restore. EBS, encrypt volumes with KMS. New volumes created from encrypted snapshots are automatically encrypted. DynamoDB, Encryption at rest using KMS is enabled by default on all tables. Elasticache Redis. Encryption at rest with KMS for sensitive cache data. The principle: data should be encrypted at rest, stored on disk, and in transit, moving across a network. KMS handles at-rest encryption. TLS SSL, provided automatically by AWS services, handles in-transit encryption. Envelope encryption: how KMS actually works. Here's a detail that helps you understand KMS behavior and exam questions. KMS does not encrypt your data directly in most cases. It uses envelope encryption. KMS generates a data key, a unique symmetric key. The service uses the data key to encrypt your data locally, fast symmetric encryption. The service asks KMS to encrypt the data key itself, using your KMS key. Both the encrypted data and the encrypted data key are stored. Your actual data never leaves the service. Only the data key goes to KMS for encryption-decryption. When you read the data, the service asks KMS to decrypt the data key. KMS checks permissions, decrypts the data key, returns it. The service uses the decrypted data key to decrypt your data locally. This means KMS can handle very large data without sending it all through the KMS API. Only small keys go to KMS. CloudTrail logs every KMS API call, every encrypt and decrypt operation. Secrets Manager versus Parameter Store. AWS also has Systems Manager Parameter Store, which stores configuration values, not just secrets. Parameter Store is cheaper, free for standard parameters. It can also store encrypted parameters using KMS. For secrets that need rotation, Secrets Manager. For configuration values and non-sensitive parameters, Parameter Store, free tier, is very generous. For application configuration, port numbers, feature flags, environment-specific settings, Parameter Store. Strengths and limitations. AWS Secrets Manager. Automatic secret rotation without code changes. Fine-grained IAM access control per secret. Versioning. Access the previous version during rotation. Audit via CloudTrail. Cost: 40 cents per secret month, plus API calls. AWS KMS. Centralized key management with full audit trail. Automatic annual key rotation for customer-managed keys. Fine-grained IAM permissions per key. Key policies plus IAM policies. Hardware Security Module. HSM backed. Keys never leave the HSM. Cost: $1 a month per key, plus 0.3 cents per 10,000 API calls. Where it gets complicated. KMS key policies are separate from and evaluated alongside IAM policies. Can be confusing to debug. Encryption at rest must be planned. You can't encrypt an existing unencrypted RDS instance in place. Key deletion in KMS has a 7 to 30-day waiting period, a safety mechanism. Lost keys mean lost data. Secrets Manager costs scale with the number of secrets and API calls at scale. Summary: never store credentials in code, environment variables, or config files committed to version control. Secrets Manager stores credentials securely and rotates them automatically. Applications fetch secrets via API. KMS manages encryption keys. Most AWS services integrate with KMS for encryption at rest. Encryption at rest, data stored on disk, uses KMS keys managed by AWS or you. Encryption in transit uses TLS. Envelope encryption. KMS encrypts the key, not the data directly. The service encrypts data using a local data key. Customer-managed KMS keys. Full control over rotation, access, and audit. AWS-managed keys, automatic, no configuration needed. Parameter Store is a lighter alternative to Secrets Manager for non-sensitive configuration values. Exam tips. SAA CO3 domain, Design Secure Architectures, Domain 1, Task 1.3. Secrets Manager versus SSM Parameter Store. Secrets Manager for credentials that need automatic rotation. Parameter Store for general configuration. Exam distinguishes them by rotation requirement and cost sensitivity. KMS key policies. A KMS key has its own key policy, a resource-based policy. IAM policies alone don't grant access to a KMS key. The key policy must explicitly allow it. Encrypting RDS. Cannot enable encryption on an existing unencrypted RDS instance. The process. Create a snapshot. Copy snapshot with encryption enabled. Restore from encrypted snapshot. Migrate traffic to new instance. EBS encryption. New volumes can be encrypted. Snapshots of encrypted volumes are always encrypted. Unencrypted volumes cannot be directly encrypted. Snapshot plus copy plus restore. CloudTrail plus KMS. Every KMS API call is logged in CloudTrail. This is a key compliance feature. Multi-region KMS keys replicate key material to multiple regions so decryption can happen without cross-region API calls. Exam uses this for multi-region disaster recovery with encrypted data. KMS versus Cloud HSM. KMS is multi-tenant, managed by AWS. Cloud HSM is a dedicated hardware security module that only you control. Exam signals. FIPS 142 Level 3, Dedicated HSM, Customer-Managed Cryptographic Operations, Cloud HSM. Exercises. Exercise 1 Recall. Explain the concept of envelope encryption. Why does KMS encrypt a small data key rather than encrypting your application data directly? Hint. Think about what happens if you have 1 gigabyte of data to encrypt and what the performance implications of sending 1 gigabyte to a remote KMS service would be. Exercise 2. Exam practice scenario. A financial services company stores sensitive customer data in an RDS MySQL database. A new compliance requirement mandates that 1. All data must be encrypted at rest. 2. All encryption key usage must be auditable. 3. The encryption keys must be customer-controlled, not managed by AWS. 4. The database password must be rotated automatically every 90 days. The database was created 6 months ago without encryption enabled. Which set of actions best meets all 4 requirements? A. Enable RDS encryption on the existing database. Create a customer-managed KMS key. Configure Secrets Manager with 90-day rotation. B. Create a snapshot of the existing database. Copy the snapshot with encryption using a customer-managed KMS key. Restore from the encrypted snapshot. Configure Secrets Manager with 90-day rotation. C. Create a new encrypted RDS instance with an AWS managed key. Migrate data from the old instance. Configure Secrets Manager with 90-day rotation. D. Enable RDS at rest encryption on the existing database using an AWS managed key. Configure Secrets Manager with 90-day rotation. Hint 1. You cannot enable encryption on an existing unencrypted RDS instance directly. Hint 2. Customer-controlled keys means customer-managed KMS keys, not AWS-managed keys. Hint 3. The snapshot copy process is the standard migration path to encrypted RDS. Answer B. Explanation. RDS encryption cannot be enabled on an existing instance. The standard approach is snapshot the existing instance, copy the snapshot with encryption enabled using a customer-managed KMS key, restore from the encrypted snapshot. Customer-managed KMS keys automatically log all usage in CloudTrail, auditing, and keep encryption keys under your control. Secrets Manager handles automatic 90-day password rotation. Satisfies requirement 4. Why not gay? You cannot enable encryption on an existing unencrypted RDS instance in place. Why not C? AWS managed keys don't satisfy the customer-controlled requirement. Requirement 3. Why not D? Same issue as A. Can't enable in place, plus AWS managed key doesn't satisfy requirement 3. SAA CO3 domain. Design secure architectures. Task 1.3. Exercise 3. Architecture challenge optional. Nimbus needs to store the following sensitive data. Database password for the production RDS instance. Stripe API secret key, used for payment processing. A symmetric encryption key for encrypting customer order history in DynamoDB. Per restaurant configuration values. API endpoints. Feature flags. Not sensitive. Which AWS service or approach would you use for each? What rotation strategy would you apply to each? There is no single correct answer. The goal is to practice matching security tools to use cases. Post-credits scene, the secrets were migrated. Database passwords, Secrets Manager, rotating every 30 days. API keys, Secrets Manager with a rotation lambda that called the payment provider's API to generate a new key. Customer order data, encrypted with a customer-managed KMS key. Old credentials deactivated. Old config files deleted. Old GitHub action secrets removed. Priya said, define audit ready. Maya said, if a compliance auditor asked us to prove no credentials are hard-coded in our code or exposed in our infrastructure, we could show them. Every secret is in Secrets Manager. Every encryption key is in KMS. Every access is logged in CloudTrail. When's the last time someone checked the CloudTrail logs? A pause. I check them every week, Priya said. And if something unusual appeared, how would we know? That, said Priya, closing her laptop, is the next conversation. In the next chapter, the 3 layers of defense that stand between Nimbus and the internet.